Don't ask your friends for advice. And I'm saying this as a very indecisive person that used to ask everyone for advice. Especially when making big decisions, we tend to want to ask other people for feedback because we don't want to make the wrong decision. And maybe we want to feel validated. But at the end of the day, you are the person that has to make the decision and live with the consequences. And I think where you want to live, what kind of career you want to pursue, what kind of person you might want to be dating, this is something that you have to choose for yourself exclusively. And I remember, because I asked so many people about so many big decisions for me, there were always people that would agree and tell me to do the thing, and there were people that were telling me to not do it. And both parties had valid reasons why they told me that. So it was just feeding into my indecisiveness, and sometimes I ended up not doing anything or following the wrong lead. And I'll give you some examples. One was when I did my year abroad. When it came to matching the family, I was very indecisive, should I do it? Because I had a gut feeling that was saying no, but everyone told me oh, this is so good, do it. And then I did it. And I wasn't happy with the decision because I was not following my gut, and I was like, oh, I was kind of right. This was not a right match. Another thing, smaller one, I was with someone at a festival, and the guy told me to put my phone in my fanny bag. I didn't feel comfortable doing it, but I thought oh, he went to more festivals than I did. And this was my first festival in the US. So I thought I would just follow his advice, put it in my fanny bag. It got pickpocketed within 2 minutes. I didn't notice it because we were going through the crowd. It was packed. I still feel terrible because I did not follow my gut, and that just made it feel even worse. Because now I had to deal with the consequences of the decision someone else made for me, and I just followed that. So afterwards, I would say follow your intuition, but there are some exceptions. I think when it comes to small decisions, it is very valid to ask other people oh, I'm going to this restaurant, have you ever been there? Can you recommend something? These small things, valid, you should definitely ask people. Also, when it came to starting this YouTube channel, our environment that influences us is not just friends and family, but also social media and the content that we consume. And I thought, I'm way too late now, right? When I wanted to start at 10, I was I don't even know what to post about. I just knew I wanted to start, and then I never did. And all the feedback that I got from social media was oh, now you're kind of too late, because everyone has so much money now that they have the best camera and the best storytelling and the best editing. So basically, if you start from zero, people have such high expectations from what the media that they consume that they're not going to watch your amateur videos. That's what was in my brain for such a long time that I just never started. And then I saw this girl on YouTube that's 2 years older than me, and she got monetized off of one video that went viral. And I was this could have been me if I would have already started posting. And just because I saw that, I knew it's possible to still get monetized in 2025, 2026, whatever. Because I've seen that, because most YouTubers that I was following have a huge following, right? They got monetized 5 to 10 years ago. So I thought, I have no chance, because that was my environment. But you can always change your environment, and you can also change whose opinion matter to you. Because my grandparents, they never traveled, and they will tell me any destination that I'm telling them, this is too dangerous, don't go there. And the only time they see different places is through the news, which usually report bad stuff, or documentaries or whatever. So they have no clue about traveling. And if I would listen to their advice, I would still be at home. I would have never went to Singapore by myself, never went to Mexico by myself, or the US. And I gained so many important life lessons from these destinations that I'm glad I didn't listen to them. Also, you have to keep in mind that, especially family, they don't always have bad intuition by telling you not to do something, but they also have in mind that they want to protect you. So when it comes to wanting to pursue a career which is not really a stable job, saying content creation, right? There's not a degree, and some family members might feel really irritated and scared that you're going to end up being homeless. They try to protect you and talk you out of that dream. But the problem is, as soon as you end up in a different career to like satisfy your parents or grandparents, whatever, and have them be proud, you're not following your intuition, and you're probably never going to be happy in that job because it felt like someone else made that decision for you. Kind of like a kid and your parents make the decision for you, which school to go to, this and that. And I think it's very important that you listen to your intuition because it's there for a reason, and nobody else but you has that intuition. I would make one exception, and that would be dating and partners. Depending on what kind of childhood we had, we might be drawn to the wrong people. Like even in friendships, sometimes if you've made certain experiences, you might think like, oh, I don't really deserve it in your subconscious. And then you might wonder, why do I keep ending up with these toxic people or have this weird like dynamic with other people? That's also why I think going to therapy is so important, because there's so much in our subconscious that we're not aware of. And it usually only shows by our pattern and feeling like, oh, I always end up with the wrong people. To realize like, okay, actually I do deserve more. It's important to have a different point of view, because sometimes you just see the best in people and they're not even showing that through their behavior. They're just talking you kind of into it. And I think therefore it's important to have friends. They see how you're being treated. They see how sad you are, and they can kind of like help you to get back on the right track and maybe ending things with certain people that are not good for you. I've recently seen a video of a girl on Instagram talking about quantum physics, electrons, but also people's childhood. And she said that kids usually think everything is possible, but as soon as you start interacting with your environment, you realize like not everything is possible. And that's something that I had because I was very open to talk to other people about my visions. And I was so excited to tell other people about it and hear their opinions, feedbacks, advice. And a lot of times it was very negative. And it led me to believe like, oh, the place that I'm from and my family background, like I'm not able to ever achieve something big and start building my own school system. I'm from this like small town in Germany. Like, why would I be the one that is able to achieve something so big? So I gave up on that dream when I was like 14. I was 20 when I went to New York, and I've met so many inspiring people that this actually helped me reconnect with that what I want is actually possible. But I needed to be surrounded by these other people that were making things happen, that were not maybe average, to understand like, okay, they're not really smarter than me, they're just more bold, and they actually believe what they want is possible. And that made all the difference. That's why I want to make this video, that your environment is like one reality, but it's not the total reality of things that are possible. And a lot of times we think, oh, because we're born into a certain gender, race, culture, country, class, we think this is all that is possible, because the older we get and the longer we stay in like one area, we think this is fixed and this is my final destination. And it can be really depressing and draining. But I think it's kind of like plants, you know, if you have a cactus in the jungle or a monstera jungle plant in the desert, like long term, both of them are not going to survive, and they both need a different environment in order to grow. And I think the same thing applies to us. Sometimes we were born in like a rural area or maybe the city or a huge city, and we don't even fit there. So I think it's our duty to ourselves that we change our environment. And I think I would recommend this to everyone, that if you move abroad, if you travel maybe for a couple of months, depending on your budget, and there's also like work and travel where you can make money. That's the same thing that I did as an au pair, because I didn't have enough money to just travel. If you get to know different cultures and different realities, people eating different food, and you will understand like, oh, maybe I was just, you know, grew up in the wrong environment, but people constantly gave me the feedback that I'm not good enough or that I don't fit in because I was interested in talking into different things. This is kind of like going to university and pursuing a degree that you actually like, and you start finding people that are interested in the same thing as you, compared to your high school, middle school classmates that just didn't understand that you wanted to talk about quantum physics or neuroscience because they're interested in different things. It just opens so much more possibilities. And I think it's also important to expose yourself to people that maybe have a completely different background as well as opinion on things, because it's not just about finding people that agree to everything, because if you want to grow, you also have to face, uncomfortable situations, not just, externally, but also internally, by having difficult conversations that might trigger certain areas inside of you where you understand like, okay, I need to do some healing or growing here. And that way you understand yourself better. And that way you can also work better with what you have and apply it to different situations. And it's never too late to change something about your situation. That's something that I learned through social media, through real life experiences, by hearing different stories. And you can do anything that you put your mind to. And it might just take longer than you think. And it might be a different route, but I'm sure you're going to get there regardless. And I hope I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.